last video, I talked about how a lot of my friends who grew up on wrestling simply can't watch today's product anymore because they think it's so awful, right? My shirt says WrestleMania, I wasn't there. Well, a lot of fans haven't been there for a long time, right? You probably know people like that. So I was thinking to myself, what's causing this? What's causing the current wrestling product to be such a turnoff to so many mainstream fans? The first thing is that wrestling fans, mainstream fans, want wrestlers that are larger than life. So one of the big issues today is wrestler suppression. Because promotions, they don't seem to want big stars anymore. They don't want mega stars anymore. They don't want to make another Hulk Hogan or another Rock just for him to go off to Hollywood. So everybody is kept suppressed. Everyone is kept at a certain level through 50-50 booking, generic scripted promos, and all these storylines that go nowhere. And if a wrestler dares to have momentum, if a wrestler dares to be surging to the top, they quickly kill that momentum. And the next thing you know, that wrestler's on the pregame show on a random tag team, right? They take this guy with all this momentum and turn them into a random guy on the pregame show. Because all the value is being put into the brand, is being put into the logo. And none of it, or very little of it, is being put into the individual wrestlers. So that way, when they release wrestlers, it's no big deal because all the value is going into the brand. One of the quickest ways to kill an effective heel character is to turn them into a generic babyface. Carmella, Liv Morgan, Lacey Evans were all charismatic heel characters with their own unique personalities. But now, they're these meaningless generic baby faces coming down to the ring, high-fiving the fans. Like all of their heel charm is gone. Lacey Evans was this evil, condescending Southern belle that would come down the entrance and use it as a runway and look down on the fans. But now, they call her the mom, and she's like coming down, smiling, high-fiving the fans, to the point where her outfits and her gimmick don't even make any sense anymore. Liv Morgan, she's not a full-on babyface, but she was that hyperactive third member of the Riot Squad. And she had like the neon highlights, the colorful outfits, and she had the blue tongue that she stuck out at people. And she would have her own mannerisms in the ring. But now, she's like this generic blonde wrestler in a wannabe Sable outfit. It's like all of her charm is gone. They took the charm of these heel characters, and now they're just these cardboard cutouts. In the case of Nakamura, he was this popular babyface, and people loved to sing along to his entrance. So what does the company do? They add lyrics to his entrance music, they turn him heel, and now people can't even sing along and cheer for him anymore. Whether it's Carmella, Miss Money, or Nakamura, the artist, or Liv Morgan, the hyperactive third member of the Riot Squad, or Lacey Evans, the evil Southern belle, they take what we like about these characters, what we find charming about these characters, and they get rid of it because they don't want anyone rising above mediocrity. Even when the WWE pushes someone, it's not really even a push. It's like a backhanded push. I mean, look at Becky Lynch leading up to WrestleMania 35. She was never allowed to look strong. Right? She was getting her ass kicked the whole time. She's like on crutches. And even when she pins Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey's shoulders are up. So it's always like backhanded, right? It's never like, okay, we're going to put our full force behind this wrestler. No. It has to be 50-50 booking where everyone stays in the middle. So basically, the way things seem designed right now, we got no megastars. I mean, we have stars. We have like Lacey Evans, Nakamura. They're stars, but they're not megastars. And if they ever dare to get too much charisma, too much momentum, or too much fan support, it gets destroyed because we can't have no more megastars. I mean, look at what happened to Rusev. But in my opinion, this issue of wrestler suppression is just one of the many ingredients contributing to today's toxic wrestling product. There are, in my opinion, a number of reasons why so many people don't watch wrestling anymore. Let's go from left to right. We just talked about wrestler suppression and how we have no more megastars because of it. Another thing is Twitter culture's influence on the business. Even though about 80% of Americans don't even use Twitter, promotions seem to have decided to pander to these online fanboys, seemingly terrified of their cancel culture. What results is a super sterile, sanitized product filled with cringy, bogus virtue signaling. And instead of producing quality storylines, promotions seem more interested in producing memes that can be retweeted. Let's get something clear. In my opinion, Online activist fanboys do not decide whether the product is good. Meltzer, in my opinion, does not decide whether the product is good. It's the casual mainstream fan base that decides whether the product is good. The casual fans are the ones that fill up their arenas, that create the sellouts. The casual fans are the ones that give Raw the 6.0 ratings. It's the casual fans that decide whether we are in the boom period, not the demanding online fanboys. And what the casual fans want, in my opinion, is larger than life stars, good storylines, and an edgy, non-vanilla product. When I was in high school, there was this girl named Katie. And what she would do is that she would say something really mean, but then she would say no offense right after that. Like, for example, she'd go up and she'd be like, hey, no offense, but you're a fucking dumbass. But no offense. No offense. Or she'd go up to someone and be like, hey, girl, no offense, but I just wanted to say that your boyfriend's fucking ugly as shit. But no offense. No offense. Maybe that's how these promotions should approach these demanding online fanboy activists. Maybe they should be like, hey, fanboys, no offense, but we're making our product awesome again. We're making our product really awesome again. We're going to have badass men, hot women, raunchy storylines, edge of your seat product, and if you don't like it, no offense, but you can go fuck yourself. But no offense. No offense, all right? No offense. But if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. But no offense. The next ingredient is one that we talked about 2 videos ago, and that's the self-aware performance art mentality that, in my opinion, has corrupted the fan base and the wrestling products. Matches are no longer expected to look like a competitive fight. The wrestlers look like they're half serious, the kayfabe and storylines look like they're half serious, and when they're in the ring, they're just goofing around in there, like they're a bunch of friends at the trampoline park playing around. It looks nothing like a serious fight. They look like a bunch of friends playing around. And I'm not just talking about the comedy matches. Even when the match is supposed to be serious, sometimes the wrestlers look like they're half serious in there. In one of my old WrestleMania reviews, I criticized the wrestler for smiling throughout his match. I mean, this was supposed to be like a big, serious match, but throughout the match, he's like in there, like smiling. To me, that's like a no-sell when you're just smiling at the other guy's moves. But he's not the only one. Throughout the industry, there seems to be all these wrestlers in the ring like they're half serious. One of the most notable examples, in my opinion, is the former Emma Lena. Here's an example to illustrate my criticism. Here she is twisting the other wrestler's arm. We're supposed to be suspending disbelief, but for some reason, she has a smile on her face. She gets her down in a headlock, still smiling. The other wrestler reverses, but it doesn't seem to bother her because she's still smiling, even as she gets her arm twisted. She's on defense, but she seems as happy as can be, even as she goes to the mat. Later, she goes for the pin. The other wrestler kicks out, but it looks like she's cool with that because she's still smiling. The other wrestler then pulls her out of the ring, but it's all good because she's still smiling, even as she brings the other wrestler back to the ring. She goes for another pin, of course with a big smile on her face. The other wrestler kicks out again, but she's cool with that because she's still smiling. She goes for another move, all smiles. She goes for another pin, and this time she gets the pin. But it doesn't really make a difference because she's just smiling either way. Because after all, it's not a real fight, it's just a good fun time. How do you fanboys defend that kind of smiling during a match? I mean, come on, we're supposed to be trying to suspend disbelief here and seeing this as a fight. I mean, think about your favorite epic fight. Hogan versus Warrior, Austin versus Rock, whatever. Now imagine if one of the wrestlers is just casually smiling throughout the match. It would have ruined the match because it would make it look like it's not even serious, right? This half serious shit, in my opinion, is one of the biggest toxic ingredients to the wrestling product. I mean, look at that recent match with Kenny Omega and Nakazawa versus the Best Friends, right? Where they're just goofing off in there, and the guy's putting his jockstrap in people's faces. The fans are right to be shitting on that match because it's a total disgrace, right? Can you imagine, like, the Steiner brothers doing that? Or the Demolition doing that? Of course not! Because it would be a disgrace. In my opinion, this half-serious shit is one of the toxic, big toxic ingredients to the current wrestling product. The next issue with wrestling is the nerdy presentation. This is self-explanatory. The presentation in wrestling used to be cool. The Rock, Stone Cold, Macho Man, Ric Flair, when they came out, it was cool. It was larger than life. But now, when a wrestler comes out, it looks like they're at a cosplay contest or something. It looks like a bunch of nerds giving us their version of being cool. Britt Baker is a successful dentist, and that's awesome. But when she comes down to the ring, they try to make it like a badass thing, you know, like they have the teeth rotating on the screen. Dun, 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 dun. And she's like coming out like this. And it's like so corny. You know, like, let me get this straight. If an accountant ever joins AEW, are they going to have a calculator rotating on the screen? Dun, 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 dun. And he's coming out like, you know, dude, that's not larger than life. That's so corny. That's the kind of stuff nerds think of, right? I have several friends that went to dental school, and they would never try to use dental terminology like it's something badass, like, I'm gonna scale and root plane your ass! You know, no! Cause that would be like Isaac Yankem, that would be corny. Darby Allin was carried out on a body bag. They put the body bag on the ground, and Darby Allin rises up with his skateboard. Then he puts the skateboard on the ground and skateboards down to the ring. Come on, man! This was on AEW Dynamite. This was on national television. Can you imagine Sting rising up with his skateboard and skating down to the ring? Can you imagine The Undertaker rising up with a skateboard and then just riding down to the ring? No, of course not. Because that's total nerdy presentation that, in my opinion, appeals to no one except the fanboys. At WrestleMania 36, this big, giant truck rolls up. The door opens, and then little Becky Lynch comes out. This reminds me of Tiny Toon Adventures, the cartoon. In the 80s and 90s, Batman was played by Michael Keaton, you know, like this little guy. So on an episode of Tiny Toon Adventures, they showed Batman like all big and strong and menacing. But then he unzips his costume, and little Michael Keaton comes out. It's like Batman looking all badass, but then he unzips his costume, and little Michael Keaton comes out. Well, that's what Becky Lynch's entrance looked like to me. It's like this big, badass looking truck. And then the door opens, and then little Becky Lynch comes out. Then the next issue relates to not all, but some of the internet wrestling fanboys. Again, they have that PC fanboy geek culture, which means that when you add a women's wrestling revolution to the mix, there is a 141 2/3% chance that they become white knights. An army of white knights. Even some mediocre female wrestlers have their white knights, which means that these fanboys are indirectly defending mediocre wrestling. These fanboys want intergender wrestling where 100-pound female wrestlers beat up 300-pound wrestlers, not because it makes for a good believable match, but because of their political correctness and because they have a crush on that female wrestler. This is all to the detriment of the wrestling product. I mean, look, we want the cream of the crop to rise to the top. We want the best male wrestlers and we want the best female wrestlers to rise to the top. We want the wrestlers, male and female, that can get us that mainstream audience. But when these fanboys are just white knighting and pushing for mediocre wrestlers that they have crushes on to beat up bigger wrestlers, then that is not working towards the betterment of the product. Last video, I talked about how my friends could only stand watching the first 2 matches of WrestleMania 36. They couldn't stop talking about how awful it was, right? There was a time when wrestling used to draw you in, right? Where you would turn on the TV and there'd be all these colorful characters. Macho Man, Ric Flair, The Rock, and Stone Cold, and casual people like my friends. It would just draw them in. I told this story before. During the Attitude Era, I was at a shopping mall. And for some reason, they were showing D-Generation X on the big screen. And everyday people, they'd be walking by and they'd be like, whoa, they would stop and look. And they would have smiles on their faces because the product, it drew casual fans in. Which is why Raw got 6.0 ratings. But the product right now, people take one look at it and it's just awful. It's a toxic wrestling product that drives away casual mainstream audiences. So in my opinion, address these things in wrestling and the recovery process can begin.